In this video I'm talking about what healthy food is and how to think about this. So I'm not talking about specific food, I'm talking about how to think the big picture, the theory. And I will go from absolutist thinking to system thinking and understand the complexity of this issue. So when you think about food in an absolutistic way, you will think about a food by itself only. So these are the people who write about avocado, that avocado is the superfood, is so good, or you should eat banana because it's very healthy, or don't eat red meat because it's not good for your body. But these people, they just focus on the food, so it's healthy for who? Because we have to put a subjective element into the thinking, so not absolute. You have to be subjective that it is good for this person or not good for that person, because we are very different in our body. We have different microbes, we have different digestive systems. And the next element of the thinking about healthy food is context. You have to think contextually. So for example, if you just think about that sugar is unhealthy, yes, most of the time for most of the people, but let's say that this person has very low level of sugar in the blood and if hypoglycemic. So if he or she doesn't eat sugar immediately, maybe gets into a coma. So in this case, eating sugar is healthy. So actually the main point is not about the sugar is healthy or not healthy, that eating sugar, because at this moment for this person it's a healthy. So in this case we can talk about, let's say, what is healthy food kind of definition. I would say that healthy food is when you eat it, then it gives you more benefit than if you don't eat it. So in certain circumstances, eating a certain food, let's say that you haven't eaten for 4 days and you are really start to be sick and super hungry and suffering, eating a hamburger will be healthy for you because it helps you to feel better, give you more energy. So under these specific circumstances, we can say that French fries, hamburgers and other junk food is healthy food for you at this moment, but normally not. So thinking about food, we have to put relativistic. Okay, the relativistic thinking is that this food altogether gives you more benefit at this moment and then the other food. So usually we have a choice. We don't just think about individual items. We talk about a meal to put together, or we have choices. So this is the relativistic. So contextual, subjectivity, relativistic. And now the system thinking. So the system thinking, first let's just focus on eating. So this meal or my meals during the day, how can I combine the different types of food and different quantities to get the most benefit from me for the food. So think in a system that my body today needs certain nutritions, trace minerals, vitamins, needs calorie. So in this case we don't focus on individual pieces of food. We focus on the whole meal for the day, at least for the day, but maybe you can think about longer, a continuous period. And then if we expand the system thinking about this, then we find out that food, and of course drinks included, is also just part of our health, then that healthy life. So of course we have to incorporate exercise. And for example, exercise and food, they come together, because if you exercise a lot, you need to eat the different food than in a situation when you don't exercise. And what about your stress level? What about the sunlight? because if you get a lot of sunlight, then your body produces vitamin D. But if you are not in the sun, then you should eat more food that contains vitamin D. So think about the food not as a separate thing, but as a whole life. Look at your whole environment, put environment elements in your thinking, understand your body, experiment that. For example, avocado, I tried maybe 3 or 4 times, different times in my life, and I always rejected. But now I tried it very small part, and now I like it, no any problem. So it's not just the food and your body, but it's about training the body to accept, because certain food is not really food for you, it's food for the bacteria in your guts. Maybe fiber is an example for this. So when you think about food, think about your whole life. Do you spend a lot of energy? Do you have a stressful life? What about the environment, sun? What about maybe the oxygen level is also important? And of course, you also have to put the social elements, because sometimes your friends ask you to go out to eat, and then that eating is also, maybe you can say no to your friends if they want to go to a restaurant that the food there doesn't fit to your requirements. Then incorporate social elements also into your thinking, and of course the price element and eating outside. That food is not the same as the food that you prepare at home, and then you control what you eat. But if you eat in a restaurant, then they control what you eat, and you actually don't really know what you eat. But if you prepare everything from basic ingredients, and then it's under your control. So think about food and eating and health as a complex system. You cannot really choose one item, because let's say this piece of food and this piece of food has maybe a different impact on you than if you just eat this food or just eat this food, because there is an emergence that sometimes different compounds create certain reactions, and maybe they work in the same way, maybe they work opposite way, and maybe they create something that it's not property of this food, not property of this food, but when you eat them in a certain situation, combination of foods that will provide. So maybe you want to eat some food that has a lot of vitamin E. This is an example, maybe it's not a correct example. Okay, you eat a lot of food with vitamin E or K, but then you don't eat another food that is necessary to create, let's say, it helps to create the enzymes that can help you to absorb the vitamin E and K. So it's not just eating this, but together they work. Separately, they don't work. Okay? So always think in systems.